Who is the worst person you ever met in professional sports in Denver?
In Denver?
Oh, boy.
And I answered this within 5 seconds.
And what you said?
Jay Cutler.
Yeah. He'd be on the list.
Well,
He'd be near the top of the list. That's for
well,
sure.
tell me. I mean, think about it. Who would be the worst person you ever met? That they said, "Do you really want to play? Do you really want to answer?" I said, sure, Jay Cutler. They went, "Oh yeah, that sounded like." Some guy said, would go over to Christmas, Indiana, and watch him play, and he said he threw a pass to a receiver in high school, and the receiver dropped it, and on the sideline, he hit the guy in the helmet. And I said, Jay Cutler, yep. Well,
There,
think
you know
about
what?
it.
There haven't
Who
been
else?
a ton of really bad
Okay.
guys. Dale Carter was not a good guy.
Okay.
Daryl Gardner was not a good guy.
I would agree
He
with
wasn't
that.
here long enough to figure out.
I didn't like Mark Haynes.
Okay.
How about that?
I'm going to twist it. So I'm dodging the question because I'm not going to make it the worst human being. I'm going to make it the most disappointing guy I've ever met in Denver. And that guy, without a question, is Larry Walker. Great player.
Could be a jerk.
Didn't give a darn about his skill. Took it for granted, and it drove me crazy, and it drove teammates crazy, and it drove his manager crazy.
Yeah,
and so
now he wants to get in the Hall of Fame and gets upset when Troy Rink won't vote him to the Hall of Fame.
I really like Larry sometimes, and sometimes I just think he's the biggest jerk around.
Okay, and so I'm not even saying whether he's a jerk or a great guy. I think again we'll do it again. Great guy, jerk. Larry Walker, more down here. But for a guy of immense talent that just really took it for granted, he should be in the Hall of Fame. But he's not because he didn't care enough, and that drove me crazy.
All right, biggest jerk. The guy that you just didn't like dealing with.
Well, that's the question to ask. I will give you what was interesting to me was that Carmelo Anthony, I thought, was a very pleasant guy to be around.
I think he's a great guy.
A lot of people thought he was a jerk, and he was very gentlemanly. He was very cordial. He never. I don't know whether it was because of us or whatever, but I never had any problems with Carmelo Anthony. And people went, "That guy was a jerk."
Carmelo made bad decisions. That's what Carmelo. And Carmelo still makes bad decisions.
He got married. His wife wanted to live in New York City, and he thought he would be a bigger name if he lived in New York. I can't really blame him. He was at least, I think, cordial enough to tell Josh Kroenke and Masai Ujiri before that summer, "I'm not coming back to Denver."
Right.
He could have played that out and become a free agent, and they'd have got nothing in return. So, for all what we say about him. You know, J.R. Smith, I played golf with him once. He wasn't an unpleasant person.
Allen Iverson was not easy.
See, maybe that says a lot about me. I got along great with Allen Iverson and liked him a lot. So
I did. I did too.
Would I advise your best friend to stay up all night with Allen Iverson? No, but on a day-to-day basis, Allen Iverson was actually one of my favorite people to come through town.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me throw 5 or 6 because I have friends that want to play good guy, bad guy.
Okay.
And they'll go Fred Couples, and I go worst guy in the world. Really? You know, I said, well, yeah, he swims easy, and everybody thinks
world's worst human being.
Worse than the North Korean president.
I don't mind saying it. Lyle Alzado, good guy, bad guy.
Didn't know him, so I cannot comment.
I knew him only a little bit. There were 2 sides to Lyle. I only knew the good side.
Yeah, there was 2, and I think you could base it totally on steroids. I think that when he was not on steroids, I thought he was one of the
when he was on the steroid cycle, you think you could definitely tell it?
Sure, I could tell the difference. I didn't know at the time.
What the reason was, but yes.
Okay, Craig Morton. Were you
I wasn't here when he played. I was around him a lot afterwards. Actually worked with him for a full week during the Super Bowl. I found him to be very easy to get along with. I know there were problems off the field, but I had no problem with him.
When I moved to Denver, one of the first beat I had was the Denver Gold, and he was the coach. All I can say, and I'm being nice here, is one of the most lost human beings I've ever met in Denver sports.
I don't. Were you here when I wrote the line that I still am noted for around the country that Haven Moses was the wide receiver, and Craig announced that he had found God. He was going to clean up his act, And I wrote, he found God this year, but he can't find Moses. I guess it's just funny to me, but it got a lot of attention in the Super Bowl. So
who else you got?
I would,
Two or three
we haven't
more.
talked about
We
the
gotta go
Avalanche.
real quick, though.
Avalanche, I never found anybody on the Avalanche that I thought was a bad guy. I thought all of them.
I got along with just about everybody on the Avs too.
No. The Avalanche through the year, any big name Avalanche player you can think of, pretty solid guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. In basketball, Dan Issel as a coach and a player. There were a lot of people that we've had him on the show. He's been a good friend for a long time, but he could be.
I found him to be terribly thin-skinned, and I think it led to problems.
I think it would be more fun if you had Dan Issel on the show and asked Dan Issel his opinion of me. Good guy, bad guy. That would be more fair.
Probably his opinion of me wouldn't be all that great either.
Josh McDaniels.
I thought he was a good guy that had no idea what guy he wanted to be.
I'll go with you. I'll go with you on that.
Yeah. And because he was not the same every day, sometimes he pretended to be a jerk, and it wasn't so much that he was a jerk that lost him with his players. It's that the players knew he was just pretending to be a football coach.
I'll tell you a guy I didn't care for. I get along with him now, but I didn't care for him when he was a player, and that's Jake Plummer.
I never found him to be unpleasant. I thought
I always liked Jake a great deal.
McDaniels was not prepared to be a head coach.
Yeah.
Because actually, Belichick doesn't prepare his assistants to be head coach. He won't let them talk. He didn't know how to deal with media or players.
That's for
really,
sure.
Except maybe at his position, quarterback coach. And I thought he was interesting and fun to be around, except when he had to deal with stuff. And for instance, he was not cast out to be the guy that was going to be general manager here.
No.
They had two guys that were basically.
He only wanted to coach. That's all he wanted to do.
And they said, okay, now you're Mike Shanahan. And he couldn't do that. So he wasn't really prepared to deal with the media, or he was very insecure. I kept asking him about if he went out in the community. No, I haven't been out in the community. I said, you should get out. People might like you. So anyway.
That segment sponsored by John Elway Chevrolet, Colorado's number
Go to
one.
buy a car, what do you really want? You probably want a lot of cars to choose from. And you want the dealership's best price. Not some starting price or target price, the best price. And you want it immediately, not after hours of negotiating. And you want a salesperson who doesn't get paid more if you spend more. Because, well, you don't want to spend more. Well, you're in luck. John Elway wants all of those things too. Better yet, John Elway wants you to have all of those things too. Come see us or click on johnelwaychevrolet.com.